Drafting the Magic features the thoughts and opinions expressed by Christian Ilton, Eric Pessolano, and today's guest, and do not in any way reflect the views or opinions of the Walt Disney Company or any of its subsidiaries. Oh, Eric, it has been so long since we've drafted the Magic. It really hasn't in the history of this show. This is really not that long of a break for us. But it's been, about a month and a half or so since that holiday. Well, actually, less than that, since that holiday. But I've been to Disney World and back. Man, it's been a busy month or so, but it's good to be back to drafting the Magic.
Yeah, we haven't done a show since last year. Can you believe that?
Okay, just move
You're
on.
you're welcome.
All right, all right.
You're welcome. I'm glad you're back. You safe. You had a good trip.
Yeah, safe. Had a good trip and learned that boy, Lightning Lane sucks, man. That world sucks. We'll talk about it.
When you have to use it,
When you
yeah.
have to use it,
Yeah.
that is just, it's wild. But the resort's great. I checked on it. I even found a picture of you somewhere at the resort. I
You
don't know if we're ready to
did.
talk about that yet or not, but I found a picture of you.
We'll have to share that on the gram, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for that, by the way.
Was happy to find it. It actually was very simple for where we were walking out, so it worked out.
Oh, good.
You're
Yes,
right by the exit, buddy.
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out. I actually found it on a random image search on Google. I found where the whole panel is.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually, it's a weird, for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, because we are been rude enough not to talk about it. Eric's got, what is it called? The
Leave a legacy.
Yeah, a tombstone in front of Epcot.
Yeah.
And so I found his picture, him and his brother, and a little family plaque in there as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, so Eric's face is a legacy of Epcot. So there you go.
In a new location, different color, right? The big stones are gone inside the park, so now you have to leave the park to see it. Yeah,
That's okay.
Because that's what we paid for.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll let you have your gripes with the company another time. Regardless, Eric, we're back to drafting the Magic, and we're talking about attractions. We love. I think probably our best episodes are attraction episodes. That or food. That's what everybody loves to watch or listen to. But this one, your brother helped us out with the Disneyland Resort queues. But Walt Disney, there's so many more attractions, Eric. I don't think we can do it all in one show.
No, we're gonna have to break this up. Because there's way too many to select from, but not enough to do from each individual park. So we're going to split it into two. We're going to combine two parks for each episode. I think it'll work out, and can't wait to talk about standing around. It's going to be going to be a good time.
Yeah, today we're going to do the kingdoms, and then next week we're going to do the parks that aren't labeled as a kingdom. So Animal Kingdom and Magic Kingdom today, and then we'll go to Epcot and Disney's Hollywood Studios, and that one might get a little interesting because, I mean, listen, Animal Kingdom doesn't have a lot of attractions, but when you think of Epcot, it doesn't have a lot of queues that are notable.
Yeah, exactly. Both of these drafts are going to get real interesting real quick.
Well, Eric, we got a pretty cool guest judge joining us for this attraction queue, kind of half of Walt Disney World attraction queue episode. This is Tara Giboney. She is all the way from Walt Disney World. She is in Orlando area, so she knows these parks probably better than we do. You can find her on Instagram at preppy.in, as in in, .mouseears, or you can find preppymouseears.com. Tara, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Did I give a good intro? That's all the stuff I'm looking through your Instagram right now. The mouse ears, the fashion, the Disney love. Tell us a little bit about how you fell in love with Disney and why you've got this, at least an Instagram. Who knows what else you got going on that's just dedicated to this love of Disney.
So I love Disney. Growing up, I'm from rural North Carolina. Going to Disney, even for that once in a lifetime trip, really wasn't something that we thought was possible. Grew up, had the VHSs. My grandma would buy me all of them. Loved to watch them on the weekend. In 2002, obviously Disney was not a super popular destination post 9/11 world. It did open up that we were able to go. So we went on a trip. We were actually there for 10 days. We went with a friend of the family who was there for a conference, stayed at Yacht Club. And I went, and I remember it was just like the best experience. I was 10 or 11, and I like went back to school. That was in July. I went back to school that year, and it was like the best thing. This was back when you put your 4x6s that you got printed off at the Walmart our photo on your binder. I had mine on my binder of me, one with Sleeping Beauty back when she had her blue dress, and one with Cinderella. And I was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. And so then going fast forward, that was like not something that was going to be repeated. But I really just kind of liked it. Went to finish high school and college in North Carolina, met my now husband. He was my boyfriend at the time. We moved to Minnesota. And leaving the state of Minnesota is very expensive. And the only air flight that we could afford was one to Orlando. And so we actually decided we were going to come to Orlando, and we were going to go to Universal because we both liked Harry Potter. And so I did not know all the things that I know now, had not bought tickets, had not done anything. We get there the night before, I'm looking on my phone, and I realized that Universal is more expensive than I thought it was. But a one-day ticket to Magic Kingdom was not. And so I was like, I had a really great time when I went as a kid. Let's go. And my husband's from Florida. He'd been a few times, not a ton. And he was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And so we went, and that was in February of 2015. And then that's where we went for our honeymoon. And then it's where we went for our baby moon and every wedding anniversary we ever had. And then it just really became a part of not just something that I enjoyed, but it's our family story. If we're celebrating something, this is where we're going. And then we got the opportunity to move here about 3 years ago, and now we're at Disney World. I'm there at least 3 times a week. Every chance we get, if we're going out to dinner, we're going to Disney. We don't go other places. And now I've been to Disneyland, we've been on Disney Cruise, and it's just something that is so not just magical because it's Disney, but it's magical because we go and we're like, remember that time when, and it just all melts together, and it's this wonderful spot that holds so many memories for us, and we just love it. And I love sharing on Instagram, and then I obviously help people book their own trips as a travel agent, and I love helping them reach that level of magic. And so now I know all the things, like don't wait till the day before to buy your tickets, and yeah, it's wonderful, and we just love it, and I can't foresee us ever not living our life this way.
Tara's living our dream, just right next door to the most magical place on earth. We have the happiest place on earth out here. I want to rewind in your story a little bit there, and I gotta ask, do you still have the VHS tapes?
I don't. I think my brother does.
Oh, well, they're still around. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I think my brother does. We had all the ones with the white clamshell.
Yeah.
Because I remember I would get up, my first like big princess love was Pocahontas. And I would get up on the weekends, and little kids wake up early, and I would like knock on my parents' door and be like, can I watch Pocahontas? And they'd be like, yes. And I watched it every weekend, had the whole thing memorized. I think my brother did as well. But yeah, I loved having all those at my fingertips, but I think my brother still has them. So
Good, because I still have all mine too. So I'm glad that these things are still around, because I got all mine. Mine was the sing-along one of Disneyland Fun. That's still my go-to. And all these years later, having the opportunity to work there, to compare to your story, it's the first time you go there, and that's it. Look at and then we both end up making a career out of it somehow.
Yes.
Oh, love Disney so much, and the memories that it gives us. And then of course a couple years ago Eric decided to text me about this, and now Eric and I fight over these things in a podcast like show. And today, Tara, we are talking we're doing a part 1. We're going to do a follow-up. Actually, next week we'll have the opposite. So there you go, everybody. Now you know our plans. We are doing part 1 of attraction cues of Walt Disney World, Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom. And Tara, without giving your favorites, without even like hinting at things, just kind of talk about the cues and what Disney does so well with a part of the day that's not fun. Standing in line sucks, but Disney does a pretty good job of making it a little bit better with the decor.
Yeah, so when I figured out that this is what we're going to be talking about, I actually had to like wrap things back in my brain a little bit because I do most of my Disney with a friend who has a DAS pass. And if you're not familiar with DAS, it's a medical reason to skip the lines. And so one of the drawbacks of a DAS is that your line is boring. Like you're just straight on the ride within 10 minutes. So you're missing a lot of those details. So when I'm Disneying with her, you know, sometimes she'll have a medical issue where she'll have to leave me even in the queue, and then I get to see things. But most of the time we're just going straight on the ride. But when I'm not with her, and especially when I'm with my daughter who is 5 and we're going through the traditional lines, I love, first of all, that there's anything in the lines to look at and entertain kids, because kids don't like waiting. If an adult doesn't like waiting in line, a 5-year-old really doesn't like waiting in line. But I love the interactive things that she's able to do. When I think about the line at Magic Kingdom for the Winnie the Pooh ride, there's a little play area that she can do there. She can write her name in the honey wall. She can play little games like with rabbits, carrots, and stuff. Across the way at Snow White, she can play with the water features on the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. She can, and I really like over there, they have one that takes a group effort. So everyone in the line has to work together to spin the barrels of gems. And when I believe 7 people are spinning, Snow White will pop up in the center and you can see her. So I really like that. Other cues like stepping away from Magic Kingdom, at Animal Kingdom, I really like the details on Expedition Everest. You're really like that they've got you believing that this is a real expedition. These are real people who have forged this mountain, and you're like invested in their story. So I think that's a great one as well.
Yeah, I'm not. My list is in stone right now, Christian. So just so you know, I have not taken any of that into account.
Oh,
But they were.
my
Go ahead.
list is in stone.
Yeah.
Whether any of those are on it or not, I know where I'm going. So
Yep. Same.
but we always do like a little tease, so I'll take it.
We got to know what we're dealing with. That's the hard part. As we always like to say, we just met our judge like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, 10 minutes ago.
So we have no prior knowledge.
Exactly. We don't have any prior knowledge. Now, what we do have are rules, Eric.
We do.
And those could limit some of the selections we make, even of anything she just hinted at or some of our favorites. Number one, you have to have experienced it. So I don't know. I think there might be a couple of cues that I haven't actually experienced. I haven't been on all the rides in Walt Disney World, I'll be honest. But even more than that, we have to alternate the parks we pick. We can't just go straight to Magic Kingdom and go on all of them. We do have to go back and forth the first 2 rounds. So I think that adds a little bit of a diciness to this, Eric.
Yes, it does. And where you start is interesting, because wherever you pick first, you're going to pick third from the same park, which then makes 2 and 4 the same. And then 5 is a wild card. You can go to either one. So that way you're not locked into having to pick 3 from one and 2 from the other. You can alternate that last one depending on where you go at number 1. So lots of strategy involved here. And like you said, I'm in the same ship as you, Christian. I've not been on every attraction in these 2 theme parks. So that might limit us a little bit, but going to be an interesting draft. As always, I'm happy to have enough picks to be eligible.
Yes, good. So shall we do this? Let's drafting the magic. Part 1 of Walt Disney World attraction cues. We are sticking to Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom, the kingdoms, today. And Eric gets the first pick. Tara is our guest judge. Eric, are you ready to start this thing off?
Let's go. Round 1, pick 1. All right. Going to Magic Kingdom, because that was part of my plan from the beginning. I think you might be doing the same thing, but we'll find out. Newer attraction. I love it. Did Tara mention it in her little speech there just before we started this? Yes, she did, because I love the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train queue. I've only been in it 2 or 3 times, but I remember a lot of that, right? Like you said, spinning the gems, having to work together, unveiling these little Easter eggs as they are, as it were, throughout the attraction queue. Everything about that is themed very, very well. And I have to go with it at number 1, Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, my first pick.
That's a pretty good one. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train right off the bat. Tara, you already alluded to it a little bit. What do you think of Seven Dwarfs Mine Train's attraction queue? Not necessarily the attraction, but that build up to it.
I mean, I think you can't talk about attraction queues worthy of the title without talking about Mine Train, because it's part of New Fantasyland. It's a recent attraction. It's not, it's not the newest attraction of Magic Kingdom, but it's garnishing some pretty big weights regularly. It's 2 hours. And I think, the queue is a pretty big reason as to why people are willing to wait, because it's the first one I think of that went from a few things to do to full on interactive. So you're going through the queue, you get on, it's in New Fantasyland, it's kind of behind the castle. You go through the line, and the first thing I have to mention is that it's got a lot of fans, which in Central Florida is like, praise the Lord. There's a lot of fans, they're all over, they're blowing you. There's not a lot of shade in Magic Kingdom, so that's really helpful. But once you get sort of through the outdoor area of that queue, where there is less to do, you're going to come inside. Quite a bit of that attraction queue is covered inside. So the first thing are going to be what look like those, old-timey side of the road gem mining tables, where you would like lean over and put your little tray in the water. And that's actually an interactive game for the kids. That's double-sided. You can play from either side in the line. I believe there are at least 3 of them, and you are matching up. You have a little shape board, and you're pulling gems out of the water to match. And that is a hit for the kids, because I've seen kids not even want to move forward in line because they're playing that game. And they're like, yeah, and their parents are like, let's go. Once you get through that, I believe the next thing is a musical thing. I'm really glad I've seen Disney repeat this in other areas of the park since then. But essentially water is dripping down, and as you take your finger and run through the drops of water, you can play a little song. It's very Snow Whitey, because it makes me think of the part of the movie where they're playing the piano, and the kind of different things are opening on the top of that. So I really like that one. And the kids like to get wet. So they're entertained there too. And if they're splashing each other, they're probably a little cooler. So they really like that. But as I mentioned earlier, my favorite part of this queue is inside. So you're gonna, as you wrap around through the little covered porch area, you're going to go actually inside the attraction. And you're going to be able to spin the barrels of gems, which are just so fun and detailed anyway. My husband and I always like to joke that we wish we could just take those with us if they were real. But you get to spin, and each barrel that you spin reveals a dwarf. And if they're all spun, then they reveal Snow White. And, Snow White's iconic. The ride is great. But the queue is fantastic. And it's a really great one to be in if you're going to be there for 60, 90 minutes. There's going to be something to do, and you're going to think, wow, Disney cares about me. They want to entertain me the whole way. It's not like when you're at a carnival and you're just waiting in dirt and grass for an hour and a half.
Yeah, anything to make it feel like it goes by in a blink of an eye. Sign me up.
I think that you hit the nail on the head with it too. Of first off, it's not just kids that don't want to move. I don't want to move in that attraction queue because I want to keep playing with all the things. But regardless, the air conditioning feel that they give you with the fans out in that that woodsy area almost. They know how hot it is. They know how hot it is when they build these things. A not so distant memory of mine when we went to Walt Disney World a couple of years ago. We were in there and lightning struck the building. And we were in the cave at the time, and that was, man, it was loud. But a good source of protection as well. So a good one for you, Eric, here in round 1. Love Seven Dwarfs Mine Train queue. The ride is. I almost like the attraction more than the ride just because of how short the ride is. I wish it was a longer roller coaster, but that's another conversation for another day.
I think you said that in reverse. You mean you like the queue better than the attraction?
Is that what I said? Yeah, I like the queue better than
the
attraction. That's what I meant to say.
Okay.
Anyway,
I got you.
Yeah. Come at me, Disney haters. Just do it. Anyway, so now my round 1. So I do not think, and this might dishevel some people. I do not think that was the best queue available for this draft. And I do think that the best queue available for this draft is not in Magic Kingdom. I think it's in Animal Kingdom. And when you have a movie that everybody loves,
I don't.
it's easy. But I don't love that movie. So I don't understand that queue. So I'm going to the one that Tara was talking about. We're going to Expedition Everest. I love the queue. The area just gives you such a great theme. You feel like you're in the Himalayas when you're going through almost that temple area, when you're outside. I do think it's pretty good shade compared to other attractions at the resort. And then you get into that area where they have all of those artifacts that the Imagineers found when they were going. And some of them might have been Imagineered up, but a lot of them are in fact artifacts that they found when they were learning and doing all the history for this. And then that whole attraction queue puts you in a different setting. It amps you up for the attraction. I've got to go Expedition Everest is my I guess the number 2 overall, my first round pick, Eric. I love it.
Stunned. Stunned you went there at number 1.
Really?
Yeah. I thought you could have held on to that for a little bit.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
The best
I
queue
do.
in this entire. Okay, all right. Well, all right.
Yeah. That's your opinion. That's my opinion. And guess what? Neither of our opinions matter.
You're
Tara, what do
right.
you think about Expedition Everest?
So I love the Expedition Everest queue. Obviously, it was one of the first ones that came to my mind when I'm thinking about Magic and Animal Kingdom. First one I thought of in Animal Kingdom, so maybe I agree. I don't know. But I like that area because it is so immersive that you really forget you're at Disney World. Because there's not much Disney over there. There's no intellectual property, nothing from the films. The outside of the queue is amazing with the prayer flags. Those are colorful, those are eye-catching. That's honestly a great educational opportunity, which I'm always looking for, because I'm always with young kids, come from an education background. I'm always looking to, my mom, who is a teacher, would say you can learn from every experience. So if you want to pull your kids out of Disney school to go to Disney World, I'm going to support that. So let's talk about the prayer flags at Disney World. So I like that. I know that my daughter's asked about those before. That has been a learning opportunity for us. You're right. Most of that queue is inside. What isn't inside is under a pretty big couple of trees. So that's another one that has huge wait times. There is the advantage of the single rider line there that cuts down on your wait time, but then you're missing the queue. But yeah, a lot of it's inside, and just the amount of detail that went into it's a ride. They didn't have a film to draw from that they had already done a lot of work to. It's the ride, and they just went whole hog into it. Like, we do have the artifacts that you mentioned. We have the photos on the wall. They're creating these people and these personalities that did the journey, and then they're also having the build up and the anticipation of the Yeti. Like, is it real? Is it really there? And it's really getting you built up to get on to that ride, because but it's amping you up to be a little scared too, because you're like, was it here? Was it there?
Look, I'm gonna say it. It's one of the only Disney attractions, possibly the only, I really don't know, that has animal scat in the queue. I think that's hilarious. That is my fun fact. If you haven't been to Expedition Everest yet, you can go look for animal scat. So these little things that just make you love the Disney parks. But you're right, there is no IP back there. Give it time. I think they'll figure it out, but maybe they can fix the Yeti first. Anyway,
It would be nice.
Also, she said whole hog, and it's almost lunchtime.
You're right.
I can't wait. Now I'm
right.
getting hungry. No, I mean, I love that queue. I just thought you could have held on to it a little bit longer before you can make the selection, is all.
Really?
Also, why are you using the fact that there's animal waste in the queue as part of your reason why it's great? That seems to defeat the purpose.
Listen, for educational purposes, like she said, educational purposes, that's a big deal, and I'd say it's a big part of my life, but clearly it's not. This is Mount Sac math going on here. Anyway, moving on.
Killing me, pal. Killing me. All right, round 2, pick 2. Let's see.
You got to go to Animal Kingdom.
I got to go to Animal Kingdom, which is part of my plan.
But not necessarily. This wasn't your plan, though, right? Because you didn't think I'd go there early.
No, I had Everest saved for later. So
Really?
it
Oh,
hadn't
okay.
ruined
So it
my
doesn't
later
change
plan.
anything yet. Okay.
No, strategically, I didn't think I'd be able to get these 2-1-2, but I'm going to be able to now because I'm going with the most visually stunning attraction queue that has ever been created, in my opinion. And that's Flight of Passage. If you want to talk about needing to keep your eyes entertained for 3 hours at a time and have to develop something that has that much space. But I mean, from all the elements of the Avatar movie to all the way up getting your body scanned, right, to get your own avatar, your quote unquote own avatar. Uh, I mean, and not to have the queue look the same from start to finish. It's all different elements, right? So I'm taking that at number 2, and I feel pretty good about my first 2 selections. So yeah, I'm gonna go with that. Tara, what do you think about Flight of Passage?
Well, I'm just going to open myself for people to come at me because I'm going to see it in the DMs. I could do without that entire area of Animal Kingdom. I have never seen that movie. Um,
For what it's worth, I had never seen it either. The first time I went there.
I've ridden both the rides several times, so I have done them. I'm abiding by the rules. But for me, no. I even with all of the Disney magic, I find that queue to be boring. I'm
Wow.
waiting in line. I have to be scanned. Like I feel like I'm having to do actual work to go on the ride. Like it's not entertaining. And then they're like, they put me in this one section to wait, and then I get in this other section to wait. No. I don't like that queue. I'm sorry.
Hey,
Uh,
I'll take it. I will take it.
well, it was good having you on the show, Tara.
I know. I can't even admit that out loud. I don't tell people that very often, but like I have friends who will be like, "Oh, did you go over to Pandora?" And I can be like, "I haven't been over there in a couple years," but yeah.
Nope. Stopped at Beat Safari. Anyway.
But it does go to show you that, again, we had never met before.
These things, yep. I will say
Those are the
that
rules.
the outdoor area of that queue, I do like getting those scenic views. But once you're inside, I genuinely don't know what's going on. I've seen the movie. I still don't know what's going on. I think it's such a weird stretch for Walt Disney World. But, IP, baby. Let's keep moving. So let's go to my round 2. And this one is. I'm worried that this is weighted by something that's not great, but I'm going to take it anyway because of how much better it is than Disneyland's. The queue of Pirates of the Caribbean out in Florida is phenomenal. Yes, you're in that little area by you got the ship mast, then you're under that building. But then once you go inside and you can see the cannons and you feel like you're in a Pirates movie, unlike the one in California where you're just zigzagging outside in that New Orleans Square area, which is great. I'm not bashing on that. I just think that the theming of the Pirates of the Caribbean attraction queue, yes, you have to have a lot of indoor stuff because of the rain and everything that goes on, but they themed it really well. Dude, once you're on the ride, sorry, California wins it by a million. But the queue, I'm going Pirates in Florida. Tara, what do you think of that?
I love both of those rides. I've ridden both of them at Disneyland and Disney World. You're right about the queue difference. At Disneyland, it's kind of okay, I'm outside and cool, I'm gonna be here for a while. Whereas at Disney World, it's more expansive of the world that it's in. Like, yeah, there is a bit that's just kind of, little courtyard type area. But once you get inside the doors, I mean, even the doors themselves are like ominous. I'm here now. I'm in the fort. Like, and then everything changes once you get inside. Like it's totally immersive. Like it's dark in there. You're winding around and you see like the little jail cells and the what is the word, like the ammunition barrels and all of those things. And this is a great ride to ride usually during the Halloween party as well, because they up the queue even more. They've got some live pirates out there that are kind of heckling you or playing music for you. So it's a really great queue, and I love the way that the boats load inside in the dark and you're like, okay, I'm here, I am ready, versus at Disneyland it's kind of like, oh, there's the restaurant, now I'm getting in a boat. Cool.
Boy, that
So
might be That might be a whole nother episode as load areas. That I'm
Oh,
thinking that's not a bad one. You might have just tipped us onto something there, Tara. But Eric, let's be honest. The attraction doesn't compare, but the queue is pretty great out in Florida.
let me go on record here, and this might be the first time. Well, no, I'm sure we've agreed before, but this is a rare time I agree with you wholeheartedly
Mm-hmm.
that the queue in Florida is way better and the attraction in California is way better.
Oh yeah.
So it's weird how there's that dichotomy between those two attractions. But I mean, in all reality, the reason why there is such a great queue in Florida is because you need shelter.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in California, I mean, obviously there's a lot less real estate to build on. So they had to make it real small with how big the actual show building is. But yeah, no, I like the pick, and I still think you took it a little early. I think you could have waited.
Son of a gun. All right.
But I do like the pick.
Well, I'll take that at least.
Yeah. All right, round 3, pick 3. Here we go. I'm elated that I get to take this at number 3. And I think by that statement, you know what I'm about to talk about, Christian.
Oh, I think
No?
I do. I think I do. Yeah.
I love interactivity in a queue. And when you take my favorite attraction of all time and you put some interactivity in there, you're going to get a winner from me. And I'm glad I could get it at 3. Give me Haunted Mansion all day, every day. Look, I mean, I talk about things helping out in the blink of an eye. Mansion can get extensive. It doesn't usually. As a matter of fact, the last like 2 or 3 times I've been on Mansion in Florida, the queue was so short that I was that child stopping to play with everything in the queue. And people would stop and look, I'm like, just go. I'm just gonna play with this for a minute. And then I mean, the stretching room is iconic, for crying out loud. It's one of the greatest pre-shows ever created. So I gotta go Mansion at number 3. And Tara, please tell me you like Mansion, please.
I
need
do.
this. Okay.
So it's not a top attraction for me, but it's like solidly like high middle. It's my husband's all-time favorite attraction. So ride it a lot with him. Actually just rode it like 2 days ago. We went on a date night on Saturday night and rode it because my daughter was out of town. She was in Tampa. And we yeah, it's his favorite, and it's special for him, so it's special for me. But you're right about the queue. I will say that was almost entirely outside. But I like it. It's typically not too long of a line, so you're rarely gonna get on that line and be like looking at Tom Sawyer Island sometimes. But most of the time you're going to jump right into the queue, and it is shaded, which helps in Florida. We have to mention anything that makes you more comfortable in Florida. Because trust me, in July and August, you're going to want that information. But I really like all of the detail. Like you could study like the gravestones and everything. And if you know your Disney, even if you know it a little, or if you know it a lot, there's going to be something that you're like, oh, haha, I get that. And I understood that reference. And I think that that's really special. So one of my favorite things is not about the queue leading up, but building, when you're leaving, you can see Mr. Toad. And I love that because Mr. Toad is special to me because my mom went to Disney World for her senior trip in 1972. So if you're keeping up, Disney World opened the year before. And so she talks a lot about how Disney's special to her now because I love it so much. And we've had some memories here. When she came at 17 years old, 18 years old, it was lame. It was a lot of baby rides in 1972, but she loved Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, loved it. And so I couldn't wait to go to Disneyland and ride it because by the time I started coming to Disney World, it wasn't.
Yeah.
And so I had to ride this ride and understand what she's talking about. And then I rode it and I was like, Mom, I don't get it. What's wrong with you? But she loves it. And so the ode to Mr. Toad as a dead ride in Magic Kingdom in Florida on Haunted Mansion at the exit line of the attraction is just like, the most amazing detail. And it's like, they hear us, they know the Disney super fans, and they're like, we're going to hide this little gem for you. And so I love that. But I love, obviously building up and walking, and I love all the different grave things there, things you can read, things you can spin. And then the stretching room is just, it's iconic. Like, I love to look at their outfits and like the details as the pictures get wider. I always notice something different. And for someone to say that when they're there 3 times a week, that's incredible. So yeah, that's a solid pick.
And Toad is my second favorite ride. So the fact that they put those two things together was just, when I first went there and saw that, I went, no way. What are the odds?
Yeah, it's a great queue. I don't know. Do I say I like Disneyland's more? Maybe a little. I don't think I've waited in Haunted Mansions enough. I do like the shade though. Do like that shade. But I don't know. Maybe it's just standing in the humidity that I don't love. I don't know.
Florida's queue is way better than here. I will say it.
For now, we'll see.
I mean,
We'll
I've
see.
only ridden Haunted Mansion at Disneyland once, but the queue meant nothing to me.
Yeah, the queue really doesn't mean much.
And I feel like there's a bottleneck on that ride that I'm like, I rarely am at Disney World or Disneyland where I find myself saying this is better in Florida. But I like the loading process for that ride was so bottlenecked. I was like,
oh, it's a nightmare. It's an
what are you doing? That does not happen. Maybe it's because we have the moving floor, but I'm like, this don't happen at Disney World. We just get on the ride.
Right. Yeah. I mean, entering the mansion, it bottlenecks too. They actually had to redesign how they operate that queue to make sure that mess doesn't happen as much anymore. And then the boarding process. Yeah. Also, you know, when you get off the elevator, it's just a massive humanity. People are jockeying for position, and then it all narrows down at the end of the hallway.
There's no like people are like elbowing you, trying to get in front. Like you're not all going to the same destination.
Yeah, we're all getting on here. What are we doing?
Yeah,
and that's the part of the queue that continues to move too. You never really stop there.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys like that one more? Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've paid enough attention. The only thing I remember of Walt Disney World, because I haven't gotten to do any of the interactive stuff to my knowledge, because
Mr. Lightning Lane over here.
Well, no. It was we were there during COVID and you weren't allowed to touch anything.
You weren't allowed to touch. Okay.
So
that area was
I think
closed
that
off.
was the most recent time.
Straight.
Although I went in 2019, so I don't remember. Maybe we didn't.
But that was, I mean, like you said, you know, back then the crowds weren't as nuts as they are now. 19, they probably were, but But at Mansion, most of the time I've been on Mansion, there's been nobody in the queue.
Sure, yeah. So
I know things are different now, but
maybe that's.
And the thing is in Florida too, if it's not super crowded, because to do almost all the interactive stuff is like a hard left out of the line, and that will be closed sometimes if it's not.
Yeah, if they don't need it.
So, I mean, there's a lot of times that I've ridden that ride and I didn't have Fast Pass or DAS, but it was like straight on, like a straight shot to the stretching room. Like, no.
All I'm hearing is that it might not have been my fault, so I'll take it. I want to say we did. I don't remember, but the only thing I genuinely remember from that, and it was growing up, because there is a grave of our dear brother Dave. And my mom has a brother, my Uncle Dave. And so that was always her favorite thing in there. She thought it was hilarious. So that's what I remember of Haunted Mansions Q. But that's a good pick here at round 3. For round 3, I have to go to Animal Kingdom. And although there are other attractions, this feels like a very short list of options. And so I'm going to go to one that as a kid, I hated for some reason. But as I've grown up and grown as an adult, I have an appreciation for a queue that, at least in the rumor world, doesn't seem like it's going to be around very much longer. Give me Dinosaur here in round 3. The only one, and I mean, it might give Eric his pick, but the only other one I was genuinely thinking in Animal Kingdom was the Tree of Life Theater, because you get to get close to all the carvings of the Tree of Life, and that's cool. But Dinosaur, they did such a good job of having stuff around you to look at. Most air-conditioned building in that entire park, I think. That might also have something to do with it. But then you get into the room where it's darker. I think they just really themed it well. And then you get to what is arguably one of the best and worst pre-shows in the history of Disney. So
simultaneously.
And then when you're getting on the attraction, you've got all the piping of, it's the yellow, white, and red, and it's, the history of the McDonald's sponsorship and all that stuff. I just think it's a cool attraction queue. So I'm going dinosaur, kind of pigeonholed here, but I'm going dinosaur in number 3. What do you
I
think of
mean,
that
I'll
one?
be honest. When you guys said you're talking about Animal Kingdom attractions, I was like, oh, what are there 3 choices? So
And now you know
yeah.
why we had to combine 2 parks to do this.
But yeah, I mean, I was thinking about dinosaur earlier. So for me, dinosaur it's a bad and a good attraction queue because like the beginning part to me, I know most kids have a dinosaur face. I never had a dinosaur face, so I'm like, wow, I don't really care about this fossil. Like it was cool the first time I saw it, but now I'm like, yeah, I'm done with this. But I will say this is a ride I don't ride very much, because I made my daughter ride it like a year ago and it terrified her, and now I'm like, whoa, that was a bad mom moment. So we don't ride it very often. But the pre-show, I love the pre-show. It's so bad. It's so 90s bad that it's good. I love it.
Oh.
And then I like the loading area. That's my favorite part of that ride because you're looking at the formulas for like ketchup and mustard.
Yep.
That's funny. Haha. Like that's hilarious.
And also, why is it here now? Because it has nothing to do with anything except for the
exactly.
McDonald's sponsorship back in the day. And so it makes no sense as to why it's there now, except for, I mean, what are you going to do? Go and paint that? No. You're
And
not
I would say
gonna
most
redo
people
it.
don't even notice it, but like I notice it and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, that's funny. And
Every
that ride has a
single time.
distinct smell. And I like the rides with the good iconic smells.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, I like that. So but yeah, I mean, rumor has it we may not be having that one much longer, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's one of those that I don't think there's going to be the annual. I closed down Luigi's Flying Tires out in California, which maybe had a 5-minute wait every single day, and then all of a sudden, when they announced that they were closing it, it was everyone's favorite ride, and I was like, "Well, it was your favorite ride last week. They might have kept it." I don't think you're going to get that crazy that crazy hate of closure for dinosaur. Eric, what do you think of
Yeah.
Dino?
Well, first of all, I don't think this is going to be the Maelstrom treatment at all.
Yeah,
Oh no, why are you getting rid of it? Because you didn't ride it. That's why.
exactly.
No, I think you sold it well. This is, we talk about how we combine sports and Disney kind of here with our fantasy draft concept. There is a sports connection on this ride, in this queue, as a matter of fact.
Oh,
Felicia Rashad, the actor,
that's
is in the video, and she's married to Ahmad Rashad, who was a Minnesota Vikings wide receiver
there you go.
back in the 70s and 80s. So that's why I'm around. I'm here to provide that part of the show. Ahmad hosted NBA Inside stuff too for all those years.
Yep.
So there you go. There's my
boy.
2 cents. Now, I mean, look, like you said, you're pigeonholed, right? There's like 4
Yeah.
things left you could have taken, which leaves me with 3 things left on my board. And one of them is certainly not going to be Navi River Journey after what I was told a few minutes ago. So that narrows it down to about 2 things. So let's go to my 4th pick here and try to figure out if I'm gonna take Safari or Kali River Rapids here.
I wouldn't have gone either of those. That's it. Again, my thought was Tree of Life, but that's a good point.
The
I didn't
theater's
think about.
Isn't the theater closed now?
Currently, I think it's still officially open.
Is it still running?
Yeah,
It's open.
It's still
I mean,
open.
nobody's riding it, watching it, but it's
yeah,
okay.
but it's open.
Yeah.
All right, so Cali or Kilimanjaro?
First of all, I'm not taking the theater. And do you know why, Christian?
Because you're going to say it's not an attraction. For
Nope.
some reason.
Try again.
Because it's Bug's Life.
Because I've never been in there.
Oh.
Because I've never needed to. Because
Well, yeah,
we had
fair.
it here.
Fair. No,
Right.
that queue in general is reason enough to go down there.
Yeah.
Even if you're never actually standing in the queue, you're just walking through it.
Right. Yeah, I've never been down in there because we had it tough to be a bug in California, so we never went in there. And when I was growing up, we went to Animal Kingdom. My dad, who was not the biggest fan of Animal Kingdom, we'd spend a couple hours in there and then get out of Dodge. So anything that even resembled anything from out here didn't get touched.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Well, here comes the worst sell of a pick that you're ever going to hear. Because I'm not taking Kali River Rapids because it's mostly outside and all outside, and you're going to die when you stand out there in the summer. Even though the only reason you want to go on that thing is to get cool because it's the summer, it's not pleasant to stand in there. I've done it one time. I did not like any of it. I'm not saying it's not a great attraction or anything. Just, you know, I was there in summer and we waited for it and I melted. Fun fact. I grew back, but I melted that day. So I'm going to go with Kilimanjaro Safari here because you can learn some fun things. And if we were talking about educational earlier, why not throw that in as a pick that I pretty much have to take? And if we're also talking about iconic smells, I mean, you know, once you get on the attraction, actually, and a little bit around it too, right? Because there's some animals around the queue nearby, not in it, but close enough. I'll take Kilimanjaro Safari at number 4 because I pretty much have to.
Are you using animal scat as a pro for your definition or your
First
pick?
of all, if you can do it, I can do it.
I know that's the irony of it. Tara, what do you think of Kilimanjaro Safari's queue?
What do I think about it?
It's all you gotta say.
You've never thought about it. That's
Yeah.
I've never thought about it. No, I haven't. I like that it's in the shade. It's entirely covered. I like that they park your strollers for you in that
Love that
attraction.
for us.
You don't have
Yep.
to deal with that. So
Look
love
at all
that
these
for
positives.
people who have strollers. I don't anymore, but I love that. No, I think the queue serves its purpose. You're shady. You're watching a video about bad people stealing animals in
Right,
Africa,
same.
and you're like, cool, I want to go see some animals. But yeah, I think, I mean, as Animal Kingdom, you are kind of not a lot of choices left.
Not a whole lot of options.
All right. Well, that was
I could have I should have picked the line at Rainforest Cafe as one of the selections.
you should have.
There's an aquarium in there.
Oh boy. All right. So that was your round 4, right? So I get to go round 4.
Yep.
And I have to go back to the Magic Kingdom, the first theme park in Walt Disney World. And I am going to go to one that again is such a better queue than the one in Disneyland, or should I say Disney California Adventure, because Under the Sea, Journey of the Little Mermaid out there is one of my favorite queues compared to the ride, because you walk through the ship, you walk through the castle, you get such a great theming. And I was so excited. I remember the first time I went on the attraction out there, I was so excited, and then I turned a corner and it was the exact same ride we had here. And I didn't know that for some reason, but the queue itself is such a beautiful buildup to that attraction. You do have a 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea reference in there, which we love for the history of the Magic Kingdom. But give me the Little Mermaid ride in round 4. I think it's a great queue.
Did you ever go on Journey on 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea? You
Yeah.
weren't old enough. It was
Nope.
gone probably
Yeah,
before
it
you
was
were born.
way gone before I was born, but that's not
Yeah.
important to this draft.
Okay.
Anyway, I still can appreciate historic references. But I like the Little Mermaid queue. I think it's beautiful. There were a couple of other places I could have gone here to keep Eric from taking in round 5, because he can go to Magic Kingdom again in round 5 because well, I mean, either way, it would have been every other. So regardless,
Yeah.
I think you were going to go, unless you really want to go Cali.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Little Mermaid, though. I think it's a beautiful queue. What do you think, Tara?
I agree. I think the difference in the queue comes down to just what seems to be almost unlimited space at Walt Disney World. Like we can, you just keep going back. I mean, I can see icons of the resort taking my daughter to school. I can be at Target and see a land that is actually Disney's part of their Animal Kingdom resort property. So I mean, it's so much land, and so because of that, they can do things like give us a nice long fun queue, whereas at Disneyland we're getting on the Little Mermaid ride and it's like, oh, I'm in the air-conditioned building, oh, here's the ride, cool.
Yes.
And I like the frontage of that ride is a great photo spot, and you're actually going to see a PhotoPass photographer there. 9 times out of 10 you're going to be able to see the ship, take photos there. Across the way we have King Triton. Then we go into the queue, and all the details, I mean, even the details like on the floor, like we've got little shells into the floor, into the rock. We're walking through the shade. We've got the water dripping down. Water dripping down is a big thing at Walt Disney World.
Yes,
the
it
youngest
is.
want to get under it, and I'm not gonna lie, I understand that. As you go through the queue, there's a place to see Scuttle, and he's telling you all about his treasures. And you've got this I can't remember if he's an animatronic or a digital Scuttle, but either way he is quite entertaining. And that's a really great spot that they've put that, because that's a place where the ride bottlenecks, and you just feel like you're not moving forever, and you're like, oh, I have this to watch. So no, I think that's a great pick. And then after the Scuttle point, at that point you're actually inside, where the queue is less entertaining, but the air conditioning is good.
But that AC though, oh my
Yes,
gosh,
that
Eric,
is some of the coldest air conditioning on property. I walk in there and I'm like, oh, like, yeah. And
Eric,
then, we're there.
The prince spells his name wrong, of course, from that movie. But have you been to that attraction queue? I don't even know if you've been back there, because we have the ride here. So I don't know. I genuinely don't know if you've been back there to do that queue or not.
I tell you what, Christian, I have walked by it several times. I've seen the ship outside.
Yep.
I ain't been in there. No.
Oh, it's beautiful queue.
Because unlike you, I did know that the attraction was identical, so I didn't need to
I cannot explain how disappointed I was. Like the amount of money they spent on the queue, then to just find out that they got the ride as a 2-for-1 part. Like, oh my god.
I will tell you that there is one attraction that is on both coasts where that happened to me.
Oh,
the same thing that happened to you.
Which one was it?
We'll talk about that later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I haven't been in there. Let's leave it at that. I'm usually, I don't know, 3 or 4 frozen apple ciders deep at that point in time. So
and a LeFou brew. Let's not.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Oh, is that what that is?
I will say that's a ride that locals use either for the air conditioning, take a little nap as you lay back in your clamshell going under the sea.
All right.
That's relaxation, 10 out of 10. But it's also a ride that we use to judge how crowded the parks are. There's a wait time of more than 20 minutes on that ride. Don't go.
The exact same here with Disney California Adventure out in California. So
ours is if you can see people in the queue, it's too long.
It's too long.
That's how we know.
Oh boy. All right, Eric. Round 5?
Round 5. This is it. I gotta wrap it up. I gotta find a way to end strong here. Try to make a comeback. Now. I know. And I've got 2 that I'm bouncing back and forth in between. And usually I lean towards interactivity, and I want to go interactivity, so I'm gonna the most interactive queue that I think is left on the board, and that's the People Mover. I'm just kidding. Not even close. Wouldn't that be funny if I actually took that?
That'd be great.
I'm gonna go with Space Mountain here. First of all, in comparison to California, the queue in Florida is vastly more impressive. It's entirely inside, unless, extended queue and there's a billion people in the park.
If it's outside, don't get on it.
Hey, there you go. And there's another ride that uses a gauge. Yeah. If it's outside, don't go near it.
If I can see people.
Yeah. I wish they kept it up a little better, but man, if I can play a video game in an attraction queue, I mean, let's go.
I will say, formerly interactive, it is no longer. They have taken that out.
Is it gone?
It's gone. At least when I was there, there's nothing about it that's interactive anymore. So, still a great air conditioned queue. I will say, on a hot summer day, I would rather be inside that building than not, whether I'm playing video games or not.
Now, again, mind you, I haven't been there in 7 years.
Correct.
So it's been a long time, and I heard nothing of them removing this.
Well, now you know. I'm sorry, buddy.
Well, this has been an entire disaster for me anyway. So I'm just going to stick with it because there's a nostalgia thing there. My other pick would have been Jungle Cruise, but I'll just stick with Space for the integrity of the game. I'll just take the hit that I wasn't aware that was gone, and now I'm sad.
I will say, there's like this is one of those rare instances at Disney World where I'm going to say, I don't know that I'm 100% right, because this is a ride that I ride almost exclusively with my DAS friend. And while the lines are like right next to each other, I don't recall that I don't think there's anything interactive there, but I'm not going to say 100% that it's not, that it's gone, because that's a line that we do her. She likes that ride. I wouldn't ride it without her. So that's a DAS ride for us. But I will say it is a long,
it's very
long queue. And it's entirely inside. Like if you see people outside, just keep on walking. Like you don't need to be messing with that. Once you get off the ride, again, long queue.
I was going to say the only thing longer.
Walkways.
The only thing longer than the queue is the exit, and good Lord, man,
it is a hike.
Yeah,
but if I like it because it's still one of those, first of all, we're going to touch your magic band at the key point for your photo. And I just like that better, because then you're laughing at yourself with a bunch of strangers versus looking at your phone later. I like that. You can be embarrassed in public.
True story. The last time I went to Walt Disney World a couple weeks ago now, I went on it twice on Space Mountain, and I knew we went on the exact same side, and I knew exactly where the camera was. They split us up. So I was in the front of the back rocket, and then my wife was in the back of the front rocket. I totally ruined these people's picture because of the face I made. These poor people are probably on vacation looking for a fun picture. They're gonna have to edit that. But no, I also just another Disney topic. Give me the scanning your magic band for the pictures, and not just this. Oh, well, you're in the queue, and we'll kind of take a guess and stab at it. We had to find a couple of pictures while we were out there. So give me I can see my picture. I can scan it on my magic band. Love that for us. Even out here in Disneyland, where you have to like punch in the code of the attraction photo. Regardless, I will take it. But Space Mountain, man, the air conditioning in that queue. That is like the first queue I think of when I think of air conditioned queue. Like Space Mountain. Oh man.
Yeah, that's one that you're almost cold by the time you get on the attraction.
You're like, do I miss outside? And then you step outside and you're like, nope, no, I didn't.
No, I don't. No, I did not. Fun fact, I bought my first magic band at the store there in the exit. Did it have Figment on it? You better believe it did.
There you go. All right. My round 5, the final pick of this draft. And the only reason it's going round 5 is because I know Eric hasn't been on it yet. Because I got to ride it a couple of weeks ago for the first time, and the queue of Tron Light Cycle Run. I'm going to be honest. The very beginning, you're just under a metal cage. But then once you enter inside, and you see that moment where they reveal the launch area to you, the way they did it, and then just walking that entire area was beautiful. But that made me feel like, that Disney engineering is back. Like just the way it looked, the way they set you up. They didn't have to do that, and they did. They made you go around the launch area so that you can see the attraction. And so I thought it was great. I genuinely thought it was great. And then they have this awful locker experience where they just go, hey, everybody, go throw stuff in lockers and then get back in line. And it's terrible. And then you enter the area, the loading area, the glass that they have on the walls, like the lighted glass. It's beautiful. I loved it. Tron Light Cycle is going to be my last pick.
So the locker thing there, it sounds very Universal of them.
Oh my gosh.
But for the rest of the attraction that you describe, it better look good. It took them 37 years to build it.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Tara, what do you think of Tron?
Okay, first of all, I have to defend Disney. It's a way better locker experience than Universal, because I don't have to go like around the end of the earth to get to my locker. It's in the queue. That's an improvement.
Is it so it's not like Forbidden Journey then? Because Forbidden Journey, it's right there in the queue.
I don't know that I've ridden Forbidden Journey because
all right.
I've been to Universal twice, and
okay.
Time did I love it. There are lots of things I didn't like. I could talk about that.
We can do that definitely.
But I don't mind the locker experience. I think it's easy, but that could be because I know what I'm doing, and I can see where that might be confusing for people who don't know what they're doing. But you get in the you go under the elaborate metal cage cover outside that is doing nothing to save you from the heat, nothing
Nope.
at all. And then you go into like what I'm going to call the scanning area. It's the first place you're going to scan either your virtual queue at this point or your lighting lane. And then we have a better metal roof with some fans, like industrial looking fans. You're starting to feel better because you've probably been in line 45 minutes, even with the virtual queue.
Oh.
But once you get inside, I do think the reveal of the ride area is amazing. I've got that one memorized. I know which side to which door to stand next to. I know where the door is going to be. But I think that's amazing for the people. I like to watch the faces of people who don't live at Disney, and they're always like, oh, like it was the coolest thing they ever saw. I like how immersive the queue is with the music and the lady telling you all about how you're going to join the light cycle and you're going to you're going to win for Team Blue. Like she's really getting you pumped. It's like you're joining the army. And then after you talk to her and deal with her, you do check your bag, which you have to do. I mean, if you have anything bigger than a phone, it ain't gonna fit in the little cover on that ride. And I sometimes I don't even want to put my phone in there because I'm like, this cover does not seem very secure, and it's right on top of the motorcycle. But then once you check it back in with the cast member after you've locked away your stuff, the actual loading area is awesome. Like there's a big screen and it's telling you about like your enemy Team Orange and their scores and stuff, and you can see the ride vehicle, you can see people taking off, you can see how fast it takes off. It is the fastest ride at any Disney park, so at least in the States, and it is amazing, and it really pumps you up to ride. I will say row 1 is epic on this ride, so if you have the chance to request row 1, that's what you want to do. But no, I agree, for the amount of time it took to build and it being a carbon copy of a ride at another park, but it's worth the ride. It's worth trying to snag the virtual queue.
The only hint there, or the only hit I guess I will take on the queue, that big screen you talked about is not as big as it could have been. They could have done the full wall. Like you can, like you look at it, there's just like nice frame area, and then there's just this square in the middle. And I'm like, oh, is it just not full screen right now? And then like you look close enough, you can see the edges of the screen area, and I'm like, man, y'all could have done better. But regardless, I think it's a great cue, and I think it's a great way to round out this draft, mainly because I knew Erik hadn't taken it or hadn't ridden it yet, so I knew I could sit on it until the very last pick, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is called strategy. Thank you very much. Erik, do you want to run down these lists?
Yeah, so much of a strategy. I actually typed it in before you said anything because I knew you would do that.
Yep.
Okay. Let's take a look at these 5 picks from each of us. I went first. I had Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, Flight of Passage, Haunted Mansion, Kilimanjaro Safaris, and Space Mountain. Christian went with Expedition Everest, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dinosaur, Mermaid, and Tron. And now, Christian's got his hand up.
Yeah, because before we ask this question, Tara, are there any attractions that should have been on this list that we didn't put? Like, is there any queue that you think we're wildly missing of these 2 parks?
Yeah. You're missing, I mean, it all comes down to perspective, right? Who are you traveling with?
Sure.
But if you're traveling with kids, you cannot leave out Dumbo. It's got a playground inside, y'all. Y'all can sit down and just take a nap. But your kids are playing.
That's a great call.
So that's a great one. Especially for families. My daughter loves that one. I talked about Winnie the Pooh before. That's a great one with kids. You're not missing anything at Animal Kingdom because we hit on every ride there.
Yep.
Yeah, I think Dumbo, that is really very smart of Disney to have that indoor playground place for kids to cool off. That's great. Like you can't miss that.
Now ask me if I've been in there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we know.
Go ahead.
Have you been in there?
No, I have not. No kids.
I used to ride it before I had kids. I love Dumbo.
Yeah,
Dumbo's
Erik,
iconic.
You don't have an excuse. Anyway,
I have operated Dumbo.
Yeah,
I did work in Fantasyland.
That's true. Anyway, all right. So after all of that, Tara, he already went down the list. Who do you think won this episode of Drafting the Magic? I genuinely think it could go either way, so we'll see.
You're so full of it.
The most iconic line cue at Disney World is Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. So I think that would be my number one pick. So
does that win the whole episode?
For me, yeah.
Wow.
All right. That's one of the biggest upsets, I think, in the history of the show because I was getting destroyed.
I think it's got it all. It has video games. It has interactive water features. It has camaraderie among guests at Disney World, and it has just lost it.
Oh,
music. I think that maybe because it's the one that started it all, but that cue, they put in a tremendous amount of effort that I have not seen in any other cue that we've talked about, or even ones that we didn't talk about, even amongst the other two parks. And I think that is just like, that's the best pick. And for me, yeah, that takes it all because they have everything.
So I had literally no chance in this because Eric took it first, and that will just be that. All right, fair enough. It's a pretty good cue.
I'm glad I didn't screw that first pickup because that could have went horribly wrong.
You could have. I would have taken it if you didn't. So
there was a point where I thought, do I go Animal Kingdom first because there are so many limited options that I need to get the top ones? But then I had to. Then I readjusted and went, I got to go with Mine Train. And now knowing that it's so far and above better than every other cue we picked today, that helped me get a win, even though I screwed up almost every other pick.
Unbelievable.
I'm good.
Unbelievable. Tara, before you go, before we have to say goodbye, give yourself a shout out. Tell the people where they can find you and how you can help them maybe plan a Disney trip of their own.
So you can find me mostly on Instagram. I am an elder millennial. Don't do no TikTok. But you can find me on Instagram at preppy.in.mouseears, 2 E's in mouseears. You can also find me on Facebook, Pinterest, and preppymouseears.com is my website. I kind of have 2 hats in the Disney world. I am a Disney influencer who loves Disney outfits. So if you're looking for Disney outfits, something to wear to the parks, you want to have some super cool clothes, definitely check me out there. But also I am a local to Disney World. I live 8 miles from Animal Kingdom, and I plan some epic Disney trips, and I do that for free. So find me on my website, find me on Instagram, and I will hook you up with super inside Disney knowledge.
We'll make sure we put all of that in the description of the link of the show as well. Tara, thanks so much. You've been a great guest judge, even though I lost.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Tara. Appreciate it. Wow. Stunned. I said it a bit ago, just absolutely stunned. If only every episode could just be top heavy like that. But it's up to the judge. It's their opinion. It's their opinion. I don't knock it.
No,
I'll take it.
No, yeah, it was great. And she was great. And I just can't believe I lost, but it's fine. I'm just going to cry forever and ever and ever. I thought I had that one in the bag. I thought
you did too.
I thought I did better than that, but it's okay. We move on from these things. But Eric, I don't know if you've realized, you have officially won season 2 of Drafting the Magic. We could basically just mail it in. We don't even have to complete the season. It's over. You've won 11 of our, if we're sticking to that 20 game grid, you've won 11. I think we have, 6 to go or 5 to go, whatever it is. But congratulations.
Yeah, we have 5 left. So what are we at? 11 to 4 this season?
Dude, it's not been a good season.
Wow. And you won season 1 12-8, right?
Something like that.
Yeah. So we're at 19-16.
19-16.
I'm up 19-16 with 5 to go this season. So yeah, I'll take it. You won season 1. I got season 2, but it'd be a bad business decision. Oh, business. Oh, that's a new word.
Okay.
Huh. It would be bad business for us not to complete this year. So we still we still got a few more episodes to go before we call it a season, and then we take no time off and start season 3.
We alluded to it. Our next episode is part 2 of this.
Yes.
We are going to Epcot and Disney's Hollywood Studios. One of them is our favorite park.
Yep.
One of them is not. And so it'll be interesting to see. Also, one of them has changed significantly since the last time you've been to it, Eric. So it'll be interesting to see how that one shapes up, and whether you can pull one out here, because whether you can get that W, because I mean, one ride won it for you today, so one ride
who
can win it
knows?
for you next time.
Who knows? And you know, as much as that park has changed, we're talking about DHS here, of course. They didn't add too much that I haven't really seen out here already.
Yeah.
One land, really. That's about it. So we'll see how that goes.
Can't wait. I gotta wait another week to try to get back on the wind train.
Yep, I'll be sitting up here on this throne waiting for you, pal.